All right, some gotchas and tricks. First of all, be sure the PowerShell window is narrower than your monitor window. So again, we've seen this before in this layout tab. In this preview, if I make this too big, you're going to see that a scroll bar will appear at the very bottom. And it might be hard to see on the video, but right down here at the bottom, there'll be an extra little yellow line that will pop up. And then when I make it smaller again, it'll not pop up again. Of course, the easy way is just to make sure that you can see some screen all the way around in this preview. Always run the 64-bit version unless you specifically need the 32-bit version. So if I have these options here, I want to make sure I do not run the x86. I want to make sure I run just the one that says Windows PowerShell. That's the 64-bit version. Third, always run it as administrator unless you need it otherwise. And that's very, very important. I can't stress that enough. Let's go down to Windows PowerShell. I'm going to right-click it and say Run as Administrator. And of course, I can tell if it's an administrator because it says Administrator Windows PowerShell right there. I want to make sure I always run it that way. By the way, there are several commands that won't work in this class if you don't run it as administrator. If you're running Windows 7, be sure you have upgraded to 3 or higher. Let me go back to my Windows 7 virtual machine here, and I'll just call up my PowerShell. And I'm going to type a command you haven't learned yet. PS version table with a $sign in front of it. And you see that the version is 2.0. Well, that is, excuse me, PS version down here, 2.0. That is not the version I need. I need at least 3, preferably 5, and we'll show you how to do that in a later document. Next, you can switch back and forth by using these commands between the regular command and PowerShell. So let me go back to PowerShell here. And if I'm in the command line, we'll just open a command prompt. There we go. I'll use these two windows. Right now I'm in the regular PowerShell up here, and if I type ISE, you'll see that the ISE will pop up. I'll close that back down. If I type cmd.exe, you'll see that I'm now in the command line. How do I know that? Well, look, there was a PS here, and now there is not a PS. So this is not the PowerShell command prompt. This is a regular command line command prompt. And down here in the command prompt, if I just type PowerShell, now you see that the PS command prompt is there, and I'm now in PowerShell. Let's prove that. Let's do a PowerShell command. And sure enough, it worked just fine. That would not work if I were in the command window. Now I'm in the command window, and I get an error when I try to run that. So those are some happy little tricks here and there. Here's that PS version table that I just showed you here. Let's get this back to a PowerShell. There we go. PS version table. And right here, you see some of these things. Now, it's going to be different depending on the various operating system and version of PowerShell you have. But here's what some of those mean. I'm not going to walk through these verbally. You can read them on your own. But you'll see that PS version, for example, is not even in here. But it was in my version over here. So you'll see some slight variations. But this will help you to untangle what some of these things mean.